example 9, we want to determine the derivative of f of g if f of u is equal to u to the 5th plus 1, and u is equal to g of x, which is equal to the square root of x at x equals 1. All right, so the first thing we want to do is go ahead and write this in a way that makes sense to us. So f of g of x, we're going to rewrite as f of g of x, and then around the whole thing, put a prime symbol. So the next thing we want to do is start breaking this down. So to take the derivative of this, we need to use the chain rule. By the literal definition of the chain rule, it's the derivative of the outside times the derivative of the inside. So let's focus in on what g prime of x is. Well, I know g of x is the square root of x. So if g of x is equal to the square root of x, then g prime of x is 1 over 2 square root of x. And you can combine this by doing the power rule on x to the 1/2 and moving it down. So by substituting what I know, I get this as f prime of, and g of x is the square root of x, so this piece goes here, times 1 over 2 square root of x. So now I need f prime of the square root of x. So I have f of u as this, so I'm going to write f of u is equal to u to the 5th plus 1, so f prime of u is just 5u to the 4th. So if I want f prime of square root of x, it's going to be 5 times the square root of x to the 4th, and f prime of the square root of x is just going to be 5x squared, because the square root to the 4th power is just squared. So now this piece is going to go ahead and take the place of that. So I get 5x squared times 1 over 2 square root of x. So now I'm just going to move some stuff around, and I'm going to get 5 over 2 times x squared over the square root of x. And now we just got to use some fancy algebra. So this is 5 over 2 times x squared divided by x to the 1/2. And when you have two bases with different powers that are being divided, you just subtract. So you get 5/2 times x squared minus 1/2. So I get 5 over 2 times x to the 3/2. And this is my derivative. Now the original question wanted me to find f of g of 1. So I go f of g prime of 1 is going to be 5/2 times 1 to the 3/2. So I just get 5/2 as my answer.